Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. With the Antigonus game, we are here with Metroid Prime. I know that the update schedule's been wildly inconsistent, not much content since New Year's. There's a number of reasons for that, but I'm trying to figure out an update schedule that puts out regular content, but also keeps me motivated to keep making stuff, even as different things change and whatever. I think playing like a remastered like Metroid Prime like once a week or so will be good for me to just be able to do something a little shorter. I'll still be doing visual descriptions, but it'll also allow me to just kind of chat about how I feel about what's going on in gaming. Obviously, Nintendo has the spotlight right now with the Switch 2 reveal and all of the good and the chaotic swirling around that. So that'll be kind of the topic of our conversation today as we go through the first bits of Metroid Prime. This game's nice and short. It only takes about 10 or 12 hours, if you know where everything's at. It's the remaster, so it looks nice for those who do have, some vision and can see some of the visuals. It's the first in the series that is about to get its first new entry in a really long time. So we're gonna play on normal difficulty. The menu is inside the brain of a Metroid. It's kind of bio. If you know anything about Metroid Prime, you know that there's a lot of like kind of creepy and stuff, but in a good way, because she's fighting against the space pirates who do all sorts of unsavory things. So we got kind of like a computer loading screen, shows the planet Talon IV. Now we see a message that she's getting against Black. Unidentified distress beacon has been detected. A frigate operating on Talon IV. We see some space. There's like a nebula in the background. We see some meteors going towards. So, obviously the big discussion around the Switch 2 has been the pricing and specifically the pricing around the games. So, PC games have largely always had variable pricing, but console games haven't had variable pricing in a really long time. If you're old enough, you'll remember, I don't even remember this, but in the NES and the SNES and even into the N64 generation, and Sega was the main competitor back then with Nintendo for consoles. Games did have variable pricing, depending on who made them and what they were, and some games were close to $100. Others were like $15, and that was 30 years ago or more. So I've mentioned him before on my channel, but the YouTuber Maximilian Dude did a really, really good video on this. I might actually link that video into the description of this if you're curious to learn more about the history of pricing. He's a bit older than me, and he does remember some of this stuff. And he does a really good video breakdown of the why games went away from having variable price ceilings, and what the advantages for the industry were that they stopped doing that. So Samus is just jumped out of her ship. Her ship is orange. It's large enough just for her. It's got jets on the back and on the bottom. The visor, the shield that she can look through in the front looks like her visor. When we look at her, so we'll zoom in through the menu. She's in her Varia suit, which is kind of her classic look. It's largely orange to different shades. The upper leg armor. Oops, sorry. Let me try to get closer here. The outside, her shoulder pads and her arm armor and the lower part of her leg armor is dark orange, though there's a little bit of green on it too, on like the knees, and some green like on the shoulders a little bit. Like her inner thighs and the lower part of her chest armor and then the back is like a light yellow. There's a little bit of black where her leg armor, the leg part connects to the upper body part. The upper part of her chest armor and her helmet are red. Her visor's green, and there's a couple of green lines on the front of her chest armor. Her left hand has like a little grappling hook machine attached to the back of it, and then her right hand is into a beam cannon that's grafted straight onto her suit. That has some it's like glowing yellow and red at the end, and then there's some like lines with energy on it. So we have to shoot. We have a force field here, a blue force field. We have to shoot 4 of these red lights so we can lock onto them, and we shoot the little yellow balls of energy, and it opens it up. Now we can. The next force field controls are offline. There's a little like scannable screen that has like some like blue shapes swirling around on it. We scan that, and that's kind of the universal sign in this game for switches. It turns on these things, these more buttons, so we can shoot them. This time there's 6 of them, 3 on each side. So we open up the shield. We're walking across platforms here. You know, if we try to jump off, there's a force field. The doors are all 6-sided, so hexagonal doors, and they'll open up into pieces, kind of like almost like a pizza. The ones we see are highlighted blue, which means they can be opened up by any beam weapon. Now we're in a room where the door is offline, but we can scan a switch, and that will turn the door back on. So obviously, like, the big deal is the price, and you know, while $450 is not great, it's something that I think most people could save up for if they really, really wanted it. Whereas the game prices, though, are the big problem, right? Because you buy the system, and then I have a Switch Pro controller, so I'm just gonna stick with that. Okay, so now we're in like the room with all the escape pods. There's a fire in the middle of the room, and in that fire, there's a huge Alright, so we've scanned our first creature. It's a parasite, interstellar vermin. They travel in swarms, indigenous to Talon IV. A single parasite is harmless to a larger life form. However, they tend to travel in large groups, swimming over potential prey. So it can be dangerous. They're little insects. We can blast them easily. There's a space pirate shooting at us. He's almost dead, so we'll take him out. Space pirates are humanoid creatures. It looks like this one had huge bite marks. So in the middle of this fire, there's a giant parasite. It's dead. It says, analysis shows incredibly large muscle structures around the jaw area. Fluid sacs containing acid are also detected. So clearly, space pirates are working on some kind of a project here. So we got a research, which is another category of logbook with small energy, just a blue ball. We can pick it up because it's 10 HP. If we scan the computers, they're just telling us that all the escape pods have launched. Now there's like a bunch of rubble in the way. So clearly this frigate's in bad shape. You know, we're walking through these metal hallways here. There's computer screens and stuff on the side. But it's not doing well. We see some parasites go through a little tunnel, so Samus can turn into her famous little morph ball, which she can turn into a ball, and that'll roll through things. There's a map station here. We're going to scan that. So we walk into a map station. It's a hologram that has like a outline of a map. Samus walks in. She plugs her beam cannon into like a thing that spins around, and then she gets the data downloaded to the computer in her suit, and that tells us where everything is. All the rooms that are orange are rooms we've been in. All the rooms that are blue are rooms we know about but haven't been. So, you know, Mario Kart World being $80 angered a lot of people, and there's a bundle for it, but that bundle's only available until September, which, you know, I know a lot of people are like, oh, what does that mean? Well, I think it's pretty clear what that means is that they'll probably replace it with other bundles for future games. Metroid Prime 4 still doesn't have a release date yet, so we scanned another computer, and now we're going to step into a hologram, and our little circular elevator platform is going down. It's entirely possible that Metroid Prime 4 will get a bundle in a few months when it comes out, because it is confirmed for 2025, and I think Nintendo would be it would be a mistake for them to push the game back unless they absolutely had to, especially since they're so we're now on the upper level of a research room. We've got one tank that has one of these big parasite monsters, low life sign detected, appears in a state of hibernation, and then the other two are shattered. We've got a couple space pirates. One of them's on the ground, the other one is limping along. One on the ground says both legs are broken. And then space pirate, severe internal damage. So these, clearly, with all the monsters being loose, the space pirates have not been able to contain them. And the space pirates, they're like black creatures. They've got like 2 toes with like big spikes coming out of them. They've got green blood. I mean, they're humanoid, but they're not human, and they're very evil. So we got another new creature, an auto turret, which is literally just a turret that's out of the ground. If the light on it is red, it means it's detected you and it's shooting. If the light on it's green, it means it's turned off or it's inactive. A new pirate data. So when you scan computers, they're either orange or red. Red are logbook entries. Orange is just like interesting information, but you don't need to scan them. So pirate data is like what the pirates are up to. Log 099923, Zebus has fallen. All ground personnel are presumed dead, either killed by the hunter clad in metal or in the subsequent destruction of the underground facilities. Our research frigates, Orphean, Syriacus, and Valparagram, were in orbit at 0 hour and managed to retreat. Frigate Orphean is now docked at Vortex Outpost. Orphean's cargo appears to have a 100% survival rate. Metroids are healthy, but on restricted feeding schedules due to uncertain supply status. We are ready to begin research on the Metroids and other promising life forms. Security status remains at Code Blue. No sign of pursuit from the hunter. So we're walking through here. There's more computers, but no more data. There's another turret that can blow up a missile. There's a bunch of other little pods that have things. There's a big one in the middle that has another one of these huge parasites on it. There's another scan little screen so we can turn on an elevator that'll take us up to an upper deck, upper walkway that we can walk around. There's another space pirate laying on the ground. This one, it says severe internal damage. Got another one that's moving along. It says void. Oh, this one's pretty healthy. The other one's pretty healthy, shooting with the missile. And these guys, we see like blood on the outside, so clearly these guys are not doing so good. We got another one who's on the ground. Then it zooms in on like his knees. And it says that his acid burns have welded his joints together, and so he can no longer walk. That's pretty painful. I mean, these guys are bad news, but so now we've got another turret, blow it up with a missile. Got a dead pirate here, and it says death caused by severe lacerations to the abdomen. So, you know, a lot of scientific terminology in this game. We have up to 15 missiles at this point. So we've used 3. We have 12 left. You know, so the issue really is just that, like, why, you know, there's basically two new games coming out right away for it. And then there's 2 other games that are kind of on the way, and then there's a lot of like third-party ports and stuff, and then there's other stuff further down the line. So we scan another one of these screens, and there's like a mechanism that Samus can get in her morph ball, and there's like a visual prompt to do that, and then it holds her there, and there's like a cord coming out of it that connects to a door, and then the door opens up, so it's like a key slot. We go into a room, there's 2 turrets, we're gonna blow them up. And there's another door, we scan another one of these panels, and there's another door open up. But we're actually gonna go left, and we're gonna saving, we'll get another logbook entry. So Samus can step into the light, and then there's like a device that like will shoot energy into her suit to restore her energy. It fully restores your health and saves your progress. And then we get, so, and now, you know, we got some dead pirates here. We can scan one. It says death caused by severe laceration. Subject looks like it had been partially eaten, so that's pretty creepy. Another one, death caused by cranial trauma. Got another one here by the save station room. Death caused by acid burns to the face. I mean, just creepy, creepy stuff. Another one. Dead. This creature looks like it struggled to get through the door. So, you know, my thought is, I'm a Nintendo fan. I'm not the kind of person who goes out and buys all of their stuff. I enjoy kart racing games, but I'm definitely leaning more towards the camp of people who, when they saw the Mario Kart Direct, while the open world is interesting, I feel like it's a concept that could, like, if they wanted to, like, fully commit to it, I know that there's mission mode, and if you're someone who's only played Mario Kart, and that's the only kart racing game you've played, you might not remember that, like, Diddy Kong Racing and Crash Team Racing back in the PS, the Nintendo 64, PlayStation generation, both had, well, it wasn't, like, truly open world, but they had contained worlds with a story mode. And so the fact that, like, Mario Kart's charging $80 for Mario Kart's a lot of money if you're not going to be in the PvP scene, which I'm not a competitive racer. I don't have an interest in spending the amount of... I'm not someone who's been in that scene for a long time, so I'm just gonna... Oh, we've got the Parasite Queen. So now, you know, she's a famous boss. This is a famous song. You may have heard it in Smash. So we're in the central core, energy core of the ship. So there's like a round walkway, although it's not perfectly flat, like part of it's more higher up than others. So there's like a ramp that goes around like a core in the middle. The core has like an orange and blue shield. The Parasite Queen is hanging out in the core in the middle. It crawled down from the ceiling, and there's like a hole at the bottom, and it's hanging down from like this big thing hanging from the ceiling, and then we have to run around it, and there's like holes in the shields. So it says it's a parasite that's been injected with some kind of a toxin. It's been mutated to become huge. It's developed poison sacs inside its mouth. Scans indicate the presence of a potent mutagen, origins unknown. Creature exhibits the ability to fire weapons-grade blasts of energy from its mouth, a trait not present in standard parasite genomes. It appears the pirates have begun a bioengineering program with considerable results. So it's got a health bar. It's shooting like green energy beams. It's got like gross stuff. So now it's causing the shield to go crazy, so I'm gonna have to just dodge for a while. Alright, we got it. It falls off the device and into the reactor core, which then subsequently starts getting on fire. The Queen is trying to climb out, but she's been injured so much by Samus's weapon she can't, and the reactor core explodes. Shield disappears, and now the frigate's gonna blow up, so we have 7 minutes to get out of here. And we're gonna go out the opposite way that we came in. So like, I've always adhered to the argument that a game, you should get $1 for every, 1 hour for every dollar you spend on a game. So if a game is $50, you should be able to get 50 hours out of that game. It doesn't mean I just can't to turn off an auto turret. That doesn't necessarily mean that one playthrough should be 50 hours. It could be. You could be playing a huge open world game. So we're going in. We're in the research room we walked over before with the 2 broken tanks and the one with the Parasite Queen in hibernation. Well, the Parasite Queen woke up, killed the space pirates, and then subsequently died. So now we're back up on the top level, and we're running through some kind of a shaft to try to get out. Huge round area. We've got lots of parasites, so we're gonna blast them. When they come up to us, they turn into green slime. You know, so if you're willing to spend $80 on Mario Kart, and you're gonna spend, you know, close to 1,000 hours playing, you know, the last Mario Kart game lasted like 11 years if you got the original version and 8 years if you got the deluxe version. So, I mean, if you get 1,000 hours out of a game for $80, that's a good deal. Which is what a lot of the Nintendo's biggest supporters are saying, and I agree with that. But if you're not going to be able to get $80 out of a Mario Kart game, if you're not someone who has the patience to do all the open world missions and stuff, which are, mostly just like fetch quests, or, it's like here, grind on these, you can grind on walls and stuff now, that's the new gimmick. Go find all these coins. It's like, if you don't have the patience to do, like, I think there's like they said there's like over 100 of them. If you don't have the patience to do all that, which is probably a significant amount of time, you're just going to clear all the cups, and then, play a few races on Rainbow Road, and then you're done, and it's like, oh, it's not really that interesting. That's not an $80 experience. So for a lot of people, when Nintendo didn't show off a story mode, that was really disappointing. Now, obviously, if they did a DLC and it was free or fairly affordable, that could significantly make people reevaluate the price. But just given how people are hurting for money and there's a lot of uncertainty, I think a lot of people are like, I don't have $80 to spend on a kart racing game. Which I totally get. The Donkey Kong game that's coming out in a month, which is the first 3D Donkey Kong, is $70, which is what PS5 and Xbox have been at. So I think a lot of people are like, okay, that's just, natural price inflation over time. So the fact that Nintendo's got Mario Kart at $80 makes them think that they can sell their premium brands for a little bit more. And if Mario Kart's $80, then other companies are going to charge even more for games that are, of grander scope than what a Mario game provides. So now we see Meta Ridley. He's got orange wings and like black armor. He's basically a pterodactyl-looking creature. They were repairing him. This game takes place after the first couple of Metroid games, which are really old. We use our grappling hook to go across like a reflecting pool here, and then we run through. So we're almost to the end here. There's like a bunch of wires that are we turn on an elevator, but because of all the explosions, they blow up. Those wires that blow up, and Samus's suit gets damaged. She loses all the cool spikes on her shoulders. She goes from the 2 green lines on her chest plate to just 1. And charge beam malfunction, missile malfunction, grapple beam malfunction, morph ball malfunction. So all these cool tools they gave us are broken. And we are going to have to scan our power beam still works, and our scan visor still works, but everything else is busted, so we're gonna have to find replacements as we play the game. So, frigate's blowing up, Ridley's flying out, and flies right by Samus. She sees him flying down to the planet. Ridley's one of the big bosses of the Space Pirates. She jumps on her ship, and we're gonna have to land on Talon IV. So overall, like, I'm excited for the Switch 2, but I don't think I'm gonna buy the bundle. I did express interest on Nintendo's website, because I have a Nintendo account, it's free to do that, but I didn't, that doesn't mean I committed to pre-ordering it. Tracking enemy target has been lost. Ground-based recon required. Begin landing sequence. So now we got Rain. She comes through these clouds. We land in like a heavily rocky, heavily forested area where it never stops raining. Found a large enough area to accommodate her ship. Talon Overworld. had like a central hub area that could connect to everything, they would call it Overworld, so you know what time period this is from. If you want to save, I'll say yes, I do. Game has been saved. So, we can scan her ship. New research is Hunter-class gunship registered to Samus Aran. You can return to your ship to recharge energy, reload weapons, and save progress. Alright. So, walk into an alcove. There's some beetles. We're going to try and get us. Morphology, beetle, burrowing insect with resilient carapace, extremely aggressive. So just large insects. Cover distances short. They cover short distances rapidly. They attack anything. They're pretty easy enemies to defeat. Walk through this little cave here. Now we're into the Talon Canyon. There's like a sap sack, which is just like an orange sack hanging off of a tree. Chemical reaction within the sack produces violent explosion to agitate. Because of the irresistible odor and sweet texture, the sap sack was nearly eaten out of existence. The evolution of an explosive chemical sap saved it. Now only brave or ingenious creatures can power it. So when we attack it, it actually blows up. Got the zoomer, anchors itself to walls and other surfaces, avoid contact with spikes. A basic nerve center located directly above the zoomer's mandible detects nutrients, sharp spines, protected from casual predators. But a lack of reinforced carapace makes the zoomer go. So we can shoot these things, but if we touch them, we take damage. Alright, now there's like a U-shaped half-pipe kind of looking thing, and there's a door at the other end of it, so we're going to walk through here. Takes us to another hallway where we've got some sap sacks. We're just going to skip them, some zoomers. And then there's an elevator, which will take us to our first area here. The Chozo Ruins West. So it's a circular elevator. It's got a bunch of runes described in it. And there's like a circular thing around it that takes us up. So, like... But, like, back to the Switch 2, because this is kind of the big story in gaming. I have heard that it has some accessibility features that are better than the Switch 1. And it may or may not be compatible with screen reading technology. I don't know how much help that would be necessarily for some games. Because even if the system is... Okay, oh, we got an alert. Abnormal seismic activity. Seismic disturbance at ruined site. And so it zooms out, and then it shows us one room, and there's a question mark. So it doesn't show us how to get there. All it shows us is the direction it's in, and then it'll tell us there's seismic activity in a room called the Hive Code. So now we're outside of the ruins. There's like a shiny bit of text. Chozo script has been Chozo lore, so it's like a shiny gold inscription. The history of the Chozo stretches back into ancient times. So far into the fog of the past, we know not where our ancestors came from. One thing is clear, however. The Chozo who colonized Talon IV made a conscious choice to eschew civilization of advanced technology. We Chozo chose to live in harmony with nature, guided by the providence of the universe. We believe we will spend peaceful days here and plan to leave our words from time to time. And when they say advanced technology, the Chozo civilization is still far more advanced than ours. But they chose not to just terraform everything, and instead built in concert. So we're in the Chozo ruins, so more of a stone building. So they, you know, they used more natural resources like stone and stuff to build their buildings as opposed to... But, you know, they had metal. We got a bunch of beetles here that are ambushing us. This is like a plaza, like a central plaza, basically. And there's a bunch of hallways and various things. So we're gonna go up towards the back. There's a second level we can't get there. Can't do anything with that yet. So we're gonna follow. We're in like a metal passageway here. So you know they do have technology, but so scarabs are basically just like parasites. They don't really do anything. They just block your way. We've got a new ion, which are basically an eye in the wall that shoot lasers out of them. You can shoot it with a beam weapon to temporarily pause it, but you need to charge beam to destroy it, so we'll be able to do that later. That would probably not be this video. We got another Chozo lore. So, got a Chozo script translated. Many long years have passed since we Chozo first took root in this land. The passage of time has always been a source of fascination to us. It is the belief of many Chozo sages that the truth of the universe hide within the tumbling currents of time's flow. As we search for answers there, however, we find illumination in other unexpected places. We know not how the ability has come to us, but recently many Chozo have begun sensing things beyond the realm of ordinary perception. Strange sights and inexplicable sensations flood our minds, filling us with visions. We take this growing ability to be a sign of our burgeoning harmonization with the infinite. Perhaps finally the universe's secrets are revealed. This is in the ruined nursery. It's a room with a large tree. There's some other things along the walls here. We got a bunch of bees' nests, which we want to avoid. Oh, jeez. Uh-oh. Okay. So, scan that. War Wasp Hive, a primary... So it's basically just a bee's nest. And then we've got War Wasps, which are just aggressive bees. Airborne bees. The War Wasp rarely strays far from its hive. It attacks people that come near it. So they don't do that much damage. But so there's a save point over here, so we're going to run over to that. Save. We're going to get the first weapon here, and then that'll be it. But... you know, my initial impressions of the Nintendo Switch are it looks cool. I think the fact that Nintendo's got hardware that can finally support a lot of third-party products for the first time in several decades is really big for them. It will attract people that are tired of some of the problems that Sony has had. And, you know, Nintendo, for all their problems, their products are still good quality. You know, adding the GameCube to the Nintendo Switch Online is very exciting. I'm a Fire Emblem guy myself, so seeing Fire Emblem Path of Radiance on that is exciting. I don't know that that's enough to make me resubscribe to the Nintendo Switch Online, but, you know, certainly it's a game that I would play again since, so the Plasmites are like basically fireflies. They're attracted to sources of heat. They thrive on energy present. They emit light when hunting, and they'll expel a small burst of got another Tangleweed. Plant life with basic sentience attracts into the ground if threatened. Tangleweeds are only dangerous to small organisms that are covered in tiny bars designed to trap potential meals. Tangleweeds lack the strength to do anything more than hinder large there's water, but we don't want to jump in it because it's green, which is poisoned. Research, large energy, just red orb. It gives us 20 health points. Yep, we fall into the poison water, not good. Now we're in the Hive Totem. Walk up, there's like a platform in the middle, and there's a bridge here that goes towards a platform that has the missile launcher on it. There's a door behind it, and there's like this weird hive thing, mechanical device. So we're gonna walk forward, and then the bridge disappears, the hive totem comes together, a bunch of more poison water flows in, so now we're stuck. Hold on a moment. So these are special War Wasps. These are Ram War Wasps. So normal War Wasp bodies are gold. They're black and gold. These ones are black and red. Ram War Wasp, airborne predators, circles its prey and then strikes. The War Wasp only species on Talon IV to evolve a true hive mind, nesting in dark places. Ram War Wasps emerge in small groups when threatened and circle their enemy at high speeds, distracting and striking from all sides. As a single intelligence, they can fell huge organisms. Alright, so they're swirling around me. The Hive Mecha security unit programmed to work with predatory hive dwellers. A design flaw makes the shielding of the Hive Mecha weak around their axis. It's their second generation combat drones able to interact with organic beings at a higher level than trained shelters work with hive-dwelling predators. Unarmed, they rely on their hive beasts to handle threats. So they're swirling around me, so I have to wait for them to stop. And then when the port opens up, there's like a red spot, and then I shoot it, and if I hit it enough times, now there's 6 of them. Not good. Able to get 2 of them. Alright, there we go. Alright, now it turns again. And it's like a totem, so it's got like the weird, like bird-like head things on it. So they're just swirling around me. I just gotta wait for him to stop. Got only a couple left. One left. Shoot it, and water drains back down, totem comes apart, and the missile launcher is now available. So, like, overall, I'll talk more about this as I play more Metroid Prime, but, you know, it looks cool that none of the third-party games are, like, muskets for me. I have a PS5, so if I really wanted to get Elden Ring or something, I could just get it for that. A new research entry has been downloaded to your logbook. There's a blast shield. I have the FF7 games. So we got an energy tank here, which is like a blue and purple tank with like black caps on the outside of it. It's gonna increase her health by 100. And we'd have 5 missiles maximum, but we can get more expansions. I think she can get up to 250 total. And then some pieces fall from the ceiling, so we can now go back the way we came, because that other way just takes us to a dead end for now, so we don't have the stuff. We don't have the morph ball. Missiles allow us to destroy the Warosp hives and actually, which means that we can stop the Warosp from coming out, because we jump down and there's like, so in the room that we just came through before, get to the hive totem, so there's like 2 doors on the upper level, and we have to hop across some platforms. If you hop down, half of the room is covered in poison water except a little island in the middle, and half of it's not. The little island is covered by some poisonous mushrooms, and then if you shoot a missile across, there's a hidden room that has a missile expansion, which opens us up to 10 missiles already. And then there's a door with a missile thing. Oh, and it has a map. It has the map station in it. But overall, I mean, I think the anger over the price is justified. I think if you're someone who's, you know, you have a lot of money, or, you know, Nintendo is such a big part of your life that you save up, that like, you save up for some of these big Nintendo brand games like Mario Kart. If that's you, I think that it's fine. I think if you're someone who's like enjoys kart racing games but aren't competitive, so you're not necessarily likely to play them for maybe more than like 30 or 40 hours, then an $80 kart racing game just doesn't make sense, especially without some kind of a single player mode with like boss racing and stuff. Now, Mario Kart 8 did get a deluxe edition, and it did get several waves of DLC, but that DLC will almost certainly cost money. There will probably be a little bit of free DLC at some point just to encourage people that maybe were skeptical of the game to buy it, but maybe that's like one or two characters. Like maybe, for last time they put Link, a couple of Animal Crossing characters, and the Splatoon character in there, which, there were a lot of people that really appreciated that. But I didn't save. It's okay. I guess we can get the morph ball too. So there's oh, I thought that was a thing I could scan. We're going through another one of these tunnels here. But overall, it's probably not something that I think, Mario Kart 8 and Deluxe combined to sell 80 million copies out of the, like, roughly 150 million Switches plus the, however many Wii U's sold. That's a huge adoption rate. Huge. That's like 50%. As someone who enjoys Fire Emblem, we celebrated Fire Emblem 3 Houses selling 4 million copies as like a watershed moment for the franchise being something in the industry. Okay, so now we're in the ruined shrine, and we're in like a square chamber. We walked up and jumped over a wall here. We can't get back up over it, and the first thing that happens is we get ambushed by a whole lot of these beetles. Missiles will help us take them out pretty easily enough. But we want to save some of them because there's going to be a part 2 to this fight. The morph ball's behind us. A huge giant beetle that has like a shield on the front and like a big red weak point on the back of its body. That's not covered by its exoskeleton pops up. So we got a plated beetle here. This is plated beetle, well armored, burrowing insect, vulnerable only in the rear abdomen. The creature's thick cranial plating can repel frontal attacks. This gives it an advantage in combat, allowing it to make ramming attacks, only surfacing when it detects vibrations above it, then removes itself, so it always faces its rival, keeping its exposed abdomen protected. So I can't use missiles or beams, but so I have to basically stand there, and then when it charges, I use a missile. It charges into the wall, and 2 missiles take it out, a bunch of green blood pops out, and then it dies. Wall covering the morph ball disappears. So, like, my philosophy with consoles generally is always wait like 9 to 12 months, because first off, what that does is it lets the library for the system develop. Yes, Donkey Kong Bonanza and Mario Kart 8 World are both Switch 2 exclusives, and we do know, like, but Metroid Prime and Pokemon Legends ZA are not going to be Switch 2 exclusives. They're going to be on Switch 1. I will play Metroid Prime 4, probably the Switch 1 version, and, so we walk back out, we're now into the courtyard again, we have the morph ball. But other than that, I mean, there's stuff coming out. Like, we know about, there's a FromSoft game that's coming out, I think, next year. That's, like, got some PvP in it. There's a Hyrule Warriors game that's coming out at some point. That's like a prequel to the companion piece to, Tears of the Kingdom that stars Zelda, and it's like what she was doing in the past, so it'll actually flesh out some of the characters from like the flashback moments and stuff that Link sees when she's communicating with him. And, you know, it's just nice to finally see Zelda actually get a few games. She got Echoes of Wisdom too. But like, other than that, we have, you know, Xenoblade just released a game. Paper Mario released a game last year. The Thousand Year Door remake, which is amazing. That's probably going to be like the next like casual game that I chat while I'm playing after this. That I have. I played it. I got it. It was very good. That's also an intelligent systems game. Oh, sorry. So I'll read this in the. So that was Chozo script. So let me go into my logbook because I was talking and didn't read it. I've played this game so many times that, so, purification. Chozo script translated. Surges of negative energy brought by the meteor far exceed our expectation. We Chozo have yet to find a way to get rid ourselves of the great poison. All we can do now is seal it away and wait for the day when a power to purify the poison appears. However, it is already impossible to collect all the pieces of the great poison that is already spread, seeping into the planet. So, there's some kind of a mysterious toxin that we detected in the Parasite Queen. Chozo know of it, and they call it the Great Poison, so we'll see what that is. We've got Shriek Bats here. They're these things that jump off the ceiling and charge at us. Territorial ceiling bladder. Body temperature peaks at 121 centigrade. Shriek Bats have high internal temperature, making them easy to spot with thermal imaging. They roost on cave ceilings while hunting for small prey. Fiercely territorial, they dive bomb anything here, and when they dive bomb, they just die. So we're walking through like another like stone passageway here. We're now in like an arboretum, which is like a huge tall room with a giant tree in the middle. We got Reaper vines, powerful rock-dwelling tentacles. A single eye upon the Reaper vine keeps constant vigil. Its vision is limited to 10 meters. A cyclic pendant on its tip is honed to lethal sharpness. The Reaper vine, it's basically a vine that has an eye on it. If you shoot the eye, it goes back into the wall. There's the water's poisoned, so you don't want to get caught in it. We have to jump up and around the tree, and then we go back down. So if you're wondering, I've beaten this game so many times I know exactly where to go. If you wander around and get lost, they'll periodically give you hints on where to go. So we're gonna save, and then I'll chat for a few more minutes about the Switch 2, and then that'll be it. So like, I'll get a Switch 2. I've been saving credit card points for it. I knew it would be expensive. Buying hardware is always a really hard thing to eat if you haven't either saved money or some other way to help offset the cost. And I do definitely think, even as someone who generally likes Nintendo products, that, you know, maybe a little bit of tone deafness on the price. I know with, you know, 8 years is a long time. And this system has more computing power than anything Nintendo's ever done by a good amount. But going back to my point about not waiting for the library to develop is nice, because then you know what's on it. Whereas, like, if you buy the system now, you're buying it because you want to play Mario Kart and Donkey Kong. While those third-party games are important, the main audience you're looking to get there are like people that never upgraded to PS5, that might be intrigued by, that are PlayStation players who are like tired of Sony and might want to upgrade to Nintendo Switch 2 instead of PS5, because now they know they can play some of the games that are like games that they've already played on PS4, but maybe they run a little better on Switch 2. And then that also gives them access to all the Nintendo exclusives. So like, it's a good move and it's huge. But for me, I have a PS5 already, so the third-party stuff doesn't really mean that much to me, but it does mean a lot to other people. I know there were a lot of people in some of Nintendo's smaller fandoms like Fire Emblem who were frustrated that they didn't see anything at the Direct. But the bottom line is that Nintendo really wants people to buy Mario Kart, and if they announce too many of their own first-party stuff, it's going to distract people away from that. And with the way the price is, if they offered too many more affordable options, like if they offered a $70 Fire Emblem game and a $70 Donkey Kong game and Metroid Prime 4 was also 70, like people would be like, okay, fine, I'm passing on Mario Kart. The people that play competitively or have a bunch of friends who play Mario Kart will get it, but the people who aren't like all in on Mario aren't going to get it. So having Mario Kart be the only show in town for the first month, I think is part of their strategy to encourage people who are like enjoy kart racing, but it's not their main thing to buy it. Like that's how I call myself. I bought the Crash Team Racing remake. Thought it was good. It's pretty faithful. Enjoyed it. I beat the whole story, including all the challenge maps, and I beat the final boss in both his normal and his hard version, which is how you complete the game. But for a lot of people, I think asking them to spend $80, and then if you don't already own like a Switch Pro controller and a bunch of other stuff, you're buying that stuff too. So like, it's not just like $450 or a $500 bundle. You also have to, if you don't own some of the hardware, which is made in China and is getting tariffed by the United States, if you're a US player, that's a lot to ask someone to spend. I mean, you could be spending close to $700 if you have to buy all the new hardware. Which is a lot. And I would love to chat more about games I'm excited about, but I felt like the first conversation should really be this one about the pricing, because that's the thing that has really been in the news. And the game looks amazing. Like, Mario Kart World looks amazing, but the big question is it's $20 more expensive than Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and it really looks like more like this is the natural progression for the franchise, not like, okay, they've completely reinvented everything and this is bigger and better than we've ever seen it, which you do see that sometimes with games, and then the price goes up significantly because the franchise has been taken to another level than anything we've ever seen. I really think it's possible that we see that with some of Nintendo's other franchises on Switch too. I mean, that's what we saw with the Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom duology. It was like Zelda on a scale had never been on. Zelda's always kind of had like open world-ish elements. I mean, even back into like the N64 era, there was like optional quests and things like that you could do that you didn't have to do, and you could explore around Hyrule Field, and there were parts of it that you didn't even have to go to at all. The Gerudo Training Ground was completely optional. There was Lake Hylia had a dungeon in it, but basically everything else in Lake Hylia was completely optional. Either it was the fishing thing or it was tied in with trading quests, but to me, Mario Kart World looks cool. I think if you're in the Mario Kart scene, if you're going to spend 1,000 hours on it, it's an investment. If not, it's not. And if I had a Switch 2, I'd probably pick up the Donkey Kong game because I really enjoyed the original DK64 way back when I was a little kid. And DK Bonanza looks cool, but like, to me, DK Bonanza is not enough to sell me to buy the Switch 2. And when you're gonna buy hardware, you want one or two games that you're like, I'm willing to pay the cost of entry along with the cost of acquiring the game just to play this game. Like, I bought the original Switch to play Fire Emblem Three Houses. That is by far the most unique Fire Emblem experience there is. It's got a lot of problems. There's parts of the games that have not aged well. There's a lot of criticism of like its opening act, and I'll talk more about Fire Emblem Three Houses and Engage in our next video like this, because we're in a save station here. But you know, if you know any of you are plugged into Nintendo, you know there in Fire Emblem, you know there was lots and lots and lots of debates over, you know, which of the three main characters that the Avatar character Byleth, who's in Smash, should side with, and you know who was the good guy, and was, you know, the heroine in the game really a heroine or a villain, and a lot of other you know, a lot of other stuff. But like that game was on a scope, and the story was intriguing enough that I was willing to spend the $300 on Switch. And I just don't see a game that I'm interested in this opening lineup that I can't acquire on a system I already own. That's like worth it to me. But I don't think we should begrudge anyone who's willing to spend the money if they really, really enjoy Mario Kart, or if you're someone who, like, you've really liked Donkey Kong, you've played as him in Smash Bros. For decades, and you've been waiting for another 3D Donkey Kong game since you were in, you know, elementary school, and this is huge, or, you know, you're younger and you never got a chance to play DK64, so, you know, Donkey Kong Bonanza is your first chance to play like a real 3D Donkey Kong game. Like, go ahead, buy it. You know, don't, you know, it's just money at the end of the day. I mean, look at your finances. Don't go into debt that you can't do it. But like, if you have the money and the ability to play it, you know, don't not get it because other people on YouTube or whatever are telling you, you know, not to get it. Understand that if you do, Nintendo is getting the message that they can engage in these pricing strategies that may make certain things significantly more expensive going forward, because you know, the price ceilings and stuff are not you know, are no longer in effect. But you know, that's your choice to make. It's your life. So, you know, I don't begrudge anyone. You know, even though I'm personally turned off by the pricing, I'm still eventually going to get it. I don't think I'm going to get that many of the games in this opening slate. You know, I know that the Dragon Drive game, which, you know, looks okay. It looks like $40. A lot of people in the disability community are actually excited about that because it's like a wheelchair basketball game, so they feel like there's some recognition. Now, you know, Nintendo's saying they're not in wheelchairs, they're in some other kind of vehicle, but I think everybody knows that it's wheelchairs. If you look at it, it's pretty clear what it is. You know, I think them backtracking is just because right now the conversation around disabilities has become kind of contentious, and, you know, after several decades where it felt like we were making slow but steady progress, now there's a pushback against it, and so I think Nintendo is very hyper aware of these kind of conversations. They may seem out of touch in some ways, but they are very aware. If you've seen, you know, like what they did with Advance Wars and things like that, with delaying that by a year and a half, which basically doomed it to failure because they didn't want to look insensitive to the war in Ukraine when that had first started, and a number of other decisions that have gone into things. So overall, that's those are my opening thoughts. I know it probably was kind of rambly. I'm gonna you know, I'll try to organize some topics for future streams so I have a more coherent message, but this was the first time that I had done more than just kind of talked about lore in a game I was actively playing. So we'll be back with more Metroid Prime as Samus explores the Chozo ruins, and I'll continue to talk about Switch 2. You know, my closing message is that, yeah, it's a price increase. If you personally feel that the $80 price tag on a game is just too high, I don't think you should get it. I think you should evaluate how many hours you're going to get per play and per game for your dollars, and or whatever currency you spend. You know, if you want to get the Switch 2, go ahead and get it. If not, don't get it. And if you're like me, where you're like, well, I enjoyed Nintendo, but I'm waiting to see a catalog that I can see myself getting my money's worth, then just wait, because there's probably going to be more stuff revealed in June after Mario Kart comes out. I just think right now they're hiding a lot of their other first-party stuff because they don't want to undermine Mario Kart. They want people to buy it. They know that it's controversial, so they don't want to give people any, any other options. And then once Mario Kart's out and it's sold some, they'll announce a lot more stuff because they'll realize that the people that weren't going to buy it aren't going to buy it. And but they don't want to give any people that are on the fence that might get it but might not get it if they have another option and an option. They want those people to buy it. So that's all. Have a wonderful rest of your day. We'll be back with more Metroid Prime, more Metaphor. I really want to finish that game soon, but I apologize that it's been slow going. I think starting a Metaphor run right after I beat it myself probably wasn't the best choice, but still learning with this YouTube stuff, and I hope that you'll stay with me, and I'll be back with more Metroid Prime, more talks on gaming, and more of our longer streams as well. So thank you so much, and have a wonderful rest of your day.